Fighting with My Family. I've been waiting to see this since it was announced. I remember when they were shooting a live episode of Monday Night Raw in the Staples Center. They went off the air, and Brendan Mitchell, Wet Movie 1, made a live video saying that he was at Raw because he heard that they were shooting a movie, that The Rock was shooting a movie. And this was Fighting with My Family. They were shooting the very last scene, her Paige's Raw debut. If you don't know what Fighting with My Family is all about, this is all about Paige, or Sarah. She wants to be a WWE wrestler. Her family was just a family of wrestlers. They have their own wrestling promotion in the UK. They get a call one night at the dinner table, and Paige and her sister, Paige and her brother, are told that they want them to come to the O2 Arena in London the next time they are there and audition for a spot in the WWE. Paige gets picked and her brother does not. This is pretty much about her going through NXT. And I got a few qualms with this because I know her story. I'm a wrestling fan. I mean, John Cena, I remember Paige's debut very, very well. I was watching it live. I watched her on NXT. I mean, here is the full review, and then I'll get into my personal qualms. The movie's very, very good. Is it very historically accurate? No. Could they have added more? Yeah, you could have easily made this a 2-hour movie. Or maybe just a bit longer. Maybe 2 hours and 20 minutes to get the full story, to make me actually be happy about Paige going to the WWE main roster instead of the developmental brand, which was NXT and still is NXT. But here we go. The actress who played Paige, Florence, was very good. She looked like her as close as you possibly could get to it. Her brother was amazing in here. Just everybody was so good. The Rock is not in it as much as you would think. He's in maybe 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes throughout the whole entire movie. He's in like 3 or 4 scenes. You even got a real professional wrestler playing the role of AJ Lee, who Paige faces on her main roster debut Monday Night Raw the night after WrestleMania 30. And she is played by Zelina Vega. I like Zelina Vega. She's a very good wrestler. She's not being pushed properly right now. I think she should be in the title picture because she's a small, little woman who can move. Great in the ring. Very careful in the ring, too. Not stiff punches, not stiff moves. She knows how to take bumps correctly, unlike Ronda Rousey. But the action was good. The cinematography was fine. But here's where my qualms come with the film. Fighting with My Family is about Paige, yeah? Well, she was in NXT. She faced all these different women, and you could have shown her going around wrestling with Becky Lynch or Rebecca Quinn, because they actually wrestled in real life. You could have had a younger girl, a younger teen, playing her, and just explore that a little bit more. But what really pissed me off was that when you're a wrestling fan and somebody like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who was a wrestler first, a professional wrestler, when you expect me to believe that she just went straight from NXT developmental without the NXT Women's Championship, which she had with her on her debut, not even showing her have a real match on NXT television, saying that nobody knows who she is when people did watch NXT, not as much as now, because NXT is still WWE's developmental brand, but it's huge now. It's better than the main roster stuff, by God. And this is what pissed me off. When you're a wrestling fan and you know that she had the Women's Championship, the NXT Women's Championship, and you expect me to believe that she went out there without it. And I think that this did happen. The Rock did come up to her, or somebody came up to her at WrestleMania 30 and said, hey, we're going to put you on the main roster. And by the way, Vince Vaughn plays the NXT coach, coaching all these different wrestlers trying to make it in the WWE. And you see her training to go into the WWE. You see her doing promo classes. This one was very funny. You can tell that The Rock added a little bit of a rock comedy feel. Like a lot of penis jokes, boner jokes, just very mature stuff. This could have been an R-rated movie, but I'm glad that that's only focused on her going into that, because this film could have bombed at the box office. Because Paige did these sex tapes with Xavier Woods, who is another wrestler. That could have really brought this film down, made parents say, no, you're not going to see this movie about Paige, because they're going to show sex stuff. You could easily make a very dark Paige film. Very, very dark. But I think that WWE Studios and Universal decided to make this film for the general audience and not just for wrestling fans. That's what you're supposed to do, but make sure you tell the whole story. Because if they go back and look at her history and want to watch this whole entire thing unfold, they can, with Paige becoming the very first NXT Women's Champion. And with Paige being the very first woman to hold the Divas Championship in her main roster debut with the NXT Women's Championship. You need to explore that a little bit more. You need to show me her holding that title, but this is also about family. And what they did with the family aspect, I am just going to sit back and talk to you guys. What they did with the family aspect, with her brother being very jealous that she made it and he didn't because he's been wrestling longer. I mean, this film could have been a lot better if it was told from a 100% true perspective about her getting into the WWE. I'm really glad they didn't go in further than that, because after she won the WWE Divas Championship, which is now the Women's Championship, she was on a roll. She faced the Bella Twins, AJ Lee, a great feud with AJ Lee. Bella Twins mostly. You had Natalya, you had Naomi, Cameron, great wrestlers in here. Tamina. But what really pissed me off was it wasn't 100% truthful, which I get. But when you're a wrestling fan, you cannot truly believe what's going on the screen when you watched it happen live. And you grew up watching it. So, there's my quick little review of Fighting With My Family. A little bit of a rant there. I thought this was a very good film. Putting my qualms aside, this was a very enjoyable film that I will be buying on Blu-ray, DVD, and digital. And I'm going to give Fighting With My Family a B. The qualms really bumped it down a little bit because The Rock knows what happened with Paige. The WWE wrote what was going to happen with Paige before Paige even knew what was going to happen to Paige. I'm a huge Paige fan. She is back as the manager of the tag team with Asuka and Kairi Sane back on WWE television. We'll see her tonight on SmackDown Live. But quick little qualms. If you're not a wrestling fan, this is not going to be a film for you. If you are a wrestling fan, you will know why I'm a little bit pissed off, because you watched it happen. There's the Fighting With My Family review.